Hi, this is Mike Lipari, filling in for my lifelong friend Pete on the intro for this episode of the Break It Down Show. Today you're going to hear from Naama Moran, who is the CEO of the company I work for, someone who impressed me enough to take a huge leap of faith and join her team. We're a startup. We're primarily a restaurant supply distribution company, but when COVID hit, we had to adapt and adapt quickly. We started using our technology and contacts in the food industry to help the community, both by selling wholesale groceries directly to consumers and reaching out to the neediest members of the community through various charitable partners. After all, when we have a surplus of food, it should go to the needy. You'll hear way more about this from Naama during the episode. What do I do for Cheetah? Well, I'm the head of supply and demand planning, so I'm responsible for managing all the inventory we have in our warehouse. But enough from me. On with the show. Oh, and hey, one more thing. Don't forget to support the Break It Down show. Share it with your friends on social media. Tell everybody how great this show is. Pete always needs more support and more people listening to this show. You want to hear the show? More people means more show. Take it away, Pete.
Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Proops.
This is Jordan Harbinger.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This is
East.
Sebastian Younger.
This is Rick Marotta.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
Hey, this is Skunk Baxter.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
Hey, this is Naama Moran, and you're watching the Break It Down show.
And now, the Break It Down show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
Yeah, this is fantastic. So first off, everybody who doesn't know already, I'll put the link up. You can go to gocheetah.com to find out more about what Naama's company does. But basically, COVID happens and changes the whole model. So let's real quick give a basis on what Cheetah used to be envisioned as, and then give us a transition into where you guys are now.
Yeah, so Cheetah is a restaurant supplier, basically supplying independent restaurants of various different sizes with their daily needs. That could be produce, meat, seafood, dairy, dry groceries, packaging. Restaurant owners download our app. On our app, they get access to a catalog of more than 3,000 products with real-time pricing, very rich product information with pictures and product descriptions. And they can place orders until midnight for next day delivery. To put that in context, the world in which restaurants live is quite antiquated. The majority of the distributors still take orders by phone or by email and have reps coming to your door. So bringing this type of e-commerce experience to the restaurant wholesale supply space has been quite innovative. With COVID impacting the restaurant industry so meaningfully, it has impacted Cheetah as well. And overnight, we lost 80% of our sales. And we had at the same time a warehouse filled with perishable products that we, were storing there in preparation to selling it to a restaurant. A couple of days before shelter in place came into effect in the Bay Area, I started receiving pictures from a friend of mine in New York, sending me pictures of empty shelves in grocery stores like Whole Foods in New York. And that's when I realized that the same thing is going to happen in the Bay Area in a matter of days. And I figured we should open up our platform to consumers. So we are still servicing our restaurants. The restaurants make up about 85% of our sales. But as of March, middle of March, we started selling to consumers as well. And today, consumer sales are about 15 to 20% of our sales. And what we offer consumers is access to wholesale groceries at affordable prices, very much like what you would get at Costco, but with significantly richer offering, especially on the produce side, and a lot of options to buy products from restaurants that you love.
Especially the timing, I remember when everything was going crazy and yeah, it was hard to get anything, the stores, and which creates more panic. Oh, let's make sure we get something so we don't have nothing, which creates more buying and everything else. The other thing is the market itself has to respond to all this extra demand. I mean, it's, there's a pace to buying, and all of a sudden this pandemic comes in and it changes everything, Talk a little bit about how that impacts, like how you guys react.
Yeah, you're talking about challenges we had on the buying side, buying from suppliers?
Yes, exactly that. Yeah, buying from suppliers and how you guys try to, look, I mean, everybody's got a pace, right? Whether you're on the inbound or outbound side, you guys are kind of in the middle. How does your model stand up with that? What kind of learning experiences did you guys have as you dealt with this as a broker, I guess, of sorts?
Yeah, we're not a broker, we're distributors. Just like many others, we had to face a lot of shortages of different supplies in the industry, starting with, at the time it was hand sanitizer and gloves and masks. And later on, we had a lot of shortages of meat, and we were on, I see just a comment came in. That's really cool. Thank you very much. I didn't realize this was going to be interactive. So that's a very pleasant surprise. So as I said at the beginning, we had to face the same shortages as everyone else. And we got rationed by our suppliers and had only certain availabilities. Having said that, where we were able to probably stand out is that we had a very agile team, and very quickly we're just like looking at so many different avenues and suppliers, and in some cases brokers or third-party suppliers, and we were very quickly able to find supplies that other people did not have. Toilet paper was another one of those commodities in very short supply at the beginning.
Yes, indeed.
Things have really normalized, I would say, probably since May. Like the biggest impact on the food industry was felt since the middle of March through the end of April. And then things started becoming a lot more rational in May and June and July. So at this point, our supply chain has gone back to be normal.
The other thing I wanted to ask about is you have restaurants that are trying to figure out how to do their business. Like they know how much meat to buy, except for now there's a pandemic and they're trying to run at 50%. But that's if people come in, and then the government, says, hey, everybody's shut down. Now we're going to expand street. It's total chaos for that restaurant owner. How are you guys able to, are you in any way able to help with that? What happens to them? Like when, they order, 500 pounds of chicken and they can only sell 40. Is there some kind of buyback program or anything like that at all?
Yeah, it's a really good question. The problem we had we still do, is we cannot take returns, especially of this highly perishable items.
Right.
There is already a food safety issue with taking returns of perishable items more than 24 hours after they were delivered. So our policy is 24 hours for perishable items, and I think we have more than a week for non-perishable items. But then in addition, we were very worried about taking returns given the pandemic. So
Sure.
We were also limited in what we could do, because we must be able to protect our staff. When items get returned from a restaurant, they have to be handled by staff in our warehouse, and protecting our warehouse has been a huge effort, figuring out how to implement CDC safety protocols in our warehouse. People today, before they come into the warehouse, they have to take temperature, they have to sign up with filling all their information. We have to track that. And we're very lucky that we haven't had any occurrence of COVID, but that could have easily come from like a returned item from a place that is unknown. So unfortunately, we had to be actually more rigid in terms of our return policies. What Cheetah does do is we are a very active donor of food. So every excess food supply we donate to food banks and various nonprofit organizations. Actually, one thing, if you don't mind, I want to share with the audience here is that we launched a project yesterday that I'm very excited about. It's called the Community Fridge Project, whereby we are placing and we're sponsoring the placement of fridges in different places around the Bay Area, where we're going to be stocking these fridges with fresh product for people in need, because there's so many people that lost their food security with loss of jobs and so on due to COVID. So given that we have a lot of excess food that we need to donate, and we have trucks going around the city into multiple restaurants, we're in a perfect position to go and stock those fridges.
Right.
And then we partnered with 2 local artists to go and decorate these fridges. So they're also a piece of art, and they're very pleasant and beautiful, and not just offering food, but also offering some, respite from some tough realities that some of our people in our community are going through.
Yeah, it's obviously you guys have, as an organization, a heart. Looking to instantly try to convert a new, this is a new business. You guys are a startup, maybe you have some roots to the past, but you instantly pivot to a new market as you're doing it. And man, it's so good on you guys. Let's come back and talk about the charitable part in a minute. I want to get back to restaurants, because the marketplace, one of the numbers I've seen, which is a horrifying number, but 85% of restaurants may close, according to some numbers.
Wow, 85%.
Yeah.
I think it's not crazy to think that 50% of independent restaurants will close.
Mm-hmm.
85% is a disaster. I hope it doesn't happen. it seems like, more and more cities are now closing down entire streets to let restaurants have outdoor dining.
Right.
Not that very helpful in San Francisco in the summer. It's the coldest time of the year, but actually in the fall, it's going to be nicer here in San Francisco. But in other parts of the Bay Area, a lot of restaurants are having outdoor dining.
Yeah.
A lot of restaurants have opened up delivery and pickup because they had to. At this point, restaurants are just trying to survive. They're really hanging into their lives. It's incredible because they're not making profit with these delivery companies taking so much of their profit for fees, but they're just doing it to keep their employees working, to keep the business working. They got PPP loans. Now these guys are running out of the PPP loans. They're trying different business models. They're still not making money, but they're surviving. And we will probably know by the end of the year where things are really at. I hope that we see some better news, to be honest.
Yeah, we could use some better news. And then how do you guys respond, in the marketplace to this chaos and to the unknown? Because like you talk about, all the companies that deliver, and God bless, like we gotta all work on this stuff together. But if you get used to staying at home and eating in your backyard, or you're like, hey, I know how to make chicken in a brick or whatever it's going to be, you can make these things at home. How do you partner with, and maybe you don't, but how do you partner with restaurants to help them sort these things out? Because their success is your success.
Yeah, 100%. Our mission is to help restaurants thrive. It's not to deliver them chickens and eggs. It's to really keep them in business. One of the ways we're doing it is by offering them a very streamlined, affordable service to get their supplies. But we're absolutely thinking outside of the box. And in many ways, we're thinking about this new consumer business that we've created.
Yeah.
Not so much as like the long-term business for Cheetah, but also as an opportunity to connect these consumers with restaurants. In other words, can Cheetah become a three-way marketplace that connects restaurants with suppliers, restaurants with consumers, and consumers with restaurants and suppliers, right? So like one of the people that just wrote me a note, he's buying from Cheetah. He's buying from Cheetah's wholesale suppliers. Can we now offer him to also buy prepared food from restaurants? And that's actually something we've been experimenting with and helping restaurants become more of a what's called CPG. CPG stands for consumer packaged good. Mm-hmm. Can they actually, pack their most famous salsa or sauce into like a package that they can sell in retail? Right. Can they freeze some meals so families don't have to families are under a lot of stress now because they're working from home. They have kids at home. They have elderly parents they have to take care of. So can we mix those grocery items with some pre-made meals from restaurants so families make their dinners faster and restaurants can survive? These are the things we're working on. And we are absolutely planning to participate in the transformation of the restaurant industry. I think restaurants will have to adapt. They will have to evolve. They'll have to become more of a catering business. Yeah. As opposed to like a restaurant in the traditional sense of the word. That type of a sit-down restaurant is probably going to maybe not disappear, but significantly diminish in numbers. And what I'm expecting to happen is going to be like a lot of fast casual restaurants where you go to a counter and you just order a bunch of simple menu items. Or you have very high-end restaurants where you go for like super special events and it's like an entertainment experience. But all those sit-down places in the middle of the road, they're going to have the tougher time. Yeah. And they will have to evolve and probably turn themselves more into like a catering business in order to make up for all that lost revenue for those empty seats inside of in the restaurant.
So I'm talking to you because a guy that I've known since the 70s, Mike Lipari, is on your team. And he's, in effect, just for the audience, he's a forecaster. He's trying to, make sure you guys have enough stuff coming in so we can get it out. Has he been pulling his hair out every single day trying to figure this marketplace out? Because I don't know how you predict this stuff, but he's so good at his job.
It was very hard. I mean, Mike said that he's never been in an environment like that. And he has talked to a lot of his colleagues from Amazon and Walmart, and all of them concur. This is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime experience when all of a sudden you have, think about it, all of a sudden in one day, entire consumer purchasing behavior goes from one place to another, goes from restaurants to grocery stores. Right. I don't know if you know that, but over the last 15 years, there's been a steadily transition of consumer purchasing from grocery stores to food service. And over the last about 10 years, food service, meaning food away from home, has actually outpaced food at home.
Wow.
And in the last 2 years, the gap was, tens of billions of dollars. So most of the food consumed in the United States came from restaurants and not from grocery stores. Shifting that overnight has been radical, and it's been radical for restaurant purchasers like us, and it's been radical for the grocery purchasers like, on the other side, like obviously they had the better part of of this game, but at the beginning they were struggling just as much in trying to predict behavior.
Yeah.
And ultimately everything will flow back into status quo, but it's likely going to take another 12 to 18 months to go back to where it used to be.
Hopefully, right? And then when you guys are establishing yourself, I mean, how big is your footprint as a company? I mean, obviously you're in the Bay Area, but are you other places as well?
Yeah, we're delivering all over the Bay Area. We're delivering all the way up to Stockton and recently also to Sacramento. We were about to launch in Dallas just when the pandemic started, and we decided to put this on pause.
Yeah.
So this year is all about focusing on the Bay Area, focusing on our business fundamentals, getting our bearings, helping to figure out the future of the restaurant industry. I mean, it's a life-changing event for restaurants, a life-changing event for us. And thankfully, in hindsight, we only have one market to worry about. Otherwise, we'll have to worry about this in 3 different markets. So that could have been really difficult.
In general, the market, the restaurant market is volatile. I know when I used to live in Broward County, I think there were 1,000 restaurants. And if you went to a restaurant every meal every day, you would never get to all of them because they turned over so fast that as soon as you got to 500 in the list and 500 to go, there would be all new restaurants ahead of you. How do you, as a business owner, how do you deal with something like that where your salespeople are going out knocking on a door, waiting to get that order? And I don't know how long the sales process. Maybe it's 6 weeks, maybe it's 6 months, but it just seems like it's very, especially now, it's got to be tough on your salespeople to get and keep that business when the industry is so tumultuous, especially right now.
Yeah. So that's the thing. We don't have door-to-door salespeople. We have a very small number of salespeople sitting today in their homes and doing basically phone calls. And prior to that, they were sitting in an office. So that makes us a lot more efficient because in one day, we can contact the number of restaurants that a door-to-door salesperson will take more than a week to contact. We do it in one day. And we've built a lot of sales automation tools into our process. As far as restaurant churn, you're right. I mean, that is absolutely part of kind of being in the restaurant business, is that restaurants are going out of business at a fairly rapid pace. It's something that is fairly common to small businesses in general. But the good thing is that they often go to open up another restaurant, or a chef is moving to another place and they take Cheetah with them. And we just have to take the cost of churn into the cost of customer acquisition. And that is part of the business we're in. And as a result, it puts a lot of pressure on us to figure out how to scale our sales and customer acquisition efforts in a very cost-effective way, which we're much better positioned to do than most other incumbent distributors that actually have door-to-door salespeople.
Yeah, because you guys were already working. You already had virtual salespeople, I guess you would call them, or whatever, remote.
and a lot of automation. The app is self-service.
Yeah.
So that's a huge part of it. Like most other kind of traditional distributors have literally their salespeople taking orders, or they have a back office person taking orders and putting them into a system. In Cheetah, the customer is managing their own inventories, managing their own orders and purchasing on the app. And that's completely streamlined and automated. So we're able to take the churn into account in the customer acquisition cost, and we're still able to do that profitably.
And when you look at these, I don't know, what would you call them? R2C products, restaurant to customer products. Are you guys using your position as a de-siloed marketplace to look and say, hey, you're a barbecue place. Your customers are going to want your barbecue dry rub.
Yeah.
You guys really need to market. Is that what you guys are trying to do?
Yeah, absolutely. We were definitely looking into segments, and there's specific segments that we go after. We don't go after all segments. So here's an example. Like, we're very, very focused on pizza restaurants Indian restaurants, Middle Eastern restaurants, barbecue, and diner. These are like the 5 top categories that are purchasing from us. So we have a great assortment of product for them. We understand their menu. We understand their needs very, very well. If you're a sushi restaurant, you can also buy from us, but you're probably not going to buy your fish from Cheetah. You will have your own specialty fish distributor. You can buy your cooking oils and your napkins and silverware and packaging from Cheetah, but we're not a specialty distributor. We're what's called a broadline distributor. And when we go after these specific segments, then yes, we understand their menus very well. We know what type of ingredients they want. We know what they're buying from us and what they're not. And so we can make recommendations based on that. In fact, we're about to launch a really cool recommendation engine that will show up in both the consumer and the business application over the next couple of weeks and is going to make recommendations based on purchasing behavior.
Wow. Yeah. That's great. That's fantastic. You know, I'm down here in Southern California. I know initially you guys were pushing down this direction. Is there a timeline on when Southern California is going to open or reopen?
Yeah, I'm very hopeful that we can reopen Southern California by the end of 2021. Everything depends on how our world is going to look like by then. Very hopeful that we'll go back to kind of geographical expansion mode by, call it Q3, Q4 of 2021.
Would you characterize this pandemic for the business itself as a blessing in disguise because of this new vertical, or would it even be a horizontal, or I mean, obviously the status quo, because you built your business with something in mind, you know, a normal river that's crazy to get into, and they're like, by the way, never mind all that. But what do you think?
I think you make your own blessings.
Okay.
You know, it's your choice. It's our choice. It's my choice whether I want to turn this into a blessing or not. And I choose to make it into a blessing because life is too short and we need to make the best of it, of whatever is being given to us. So yeah, I also have a point of view about what is the blessing that the coronavirus is bringing society as a whole.
Right.
I think it has a lot of blessings. For example, it slows us down. It makes us come back to our families and reconnect with people that we care about. It helps us go out and travel and work from home and not sit in traffic all day long. It makes us rethink the workplace. And do we really need to stay in traffic all that time just to go to the office? We can be at home and have a more balanced life. It helps us think about health. It helps us think about social responsibility, and putting masks is a whole big discussion. Like, is it my right or is it a social right, and so on. For Cheetah, look, it's been very difficult losing 80% of your sales overnight when you're incredibly leveraged with a very big warehouse and inventory and staff. And it's difficult. I had to lay off 50% of my staff.
Oh.
It was incredibly hard. It's very difficult to see our restaurant customers struggling and knowing that 50% or maybe 85% of them might not make it. Having said that, yes, I believe that those people, including ourselves, that can evolve, that can change, that can react, will thrive, will survive, and will thrive. Because that's the law of nature, you know, is all about evolution. And so the blessing is our ability to react to these events. The fact that we were very well financially backed by investors is a big blessing. Investors backed us again during this COVID crisis. The fact that customers are still sticking up with us during such tough times. The fact that even though we had to lay off staff, the people who remain are incredibly motivated to make this dream come true. And yes, I believe that when we're on the other side of this pandemic, Cheetah will actually be a much better business because it forces us to focus on business fundamentals, profitability, margins, operational excellence, as opposed to like geographical expansion, which took a lot of our bandwidth before. So I definitely believe that if we can survive the next 12, 24 months, however long it takes, we will become a much better, stronger company as a result of that.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And I believe in what you guys are doing, partly because of your adaptation to the crisis. And, I've thought a lot about the survival of the fittest and evolution and everything. And it's easy to be, super strong and surviving when you're in a known system. But when that meteor comes and blasts into the, the earth, everything changes. It's all reset what the strongest and the fittest are. It's not the apex predator, most likely, because all their prey goes away. And here you guys are almost instantly adapting to your environment. It's commendable because if you were afraid, you wouldn't have done that,
Yeah, exactly. That's the advantage of being, you know, a startup, being a relatively small business. There's a lot of people that are really pouring their heart and soul, including Mike Lipari. I mean, we wouldn't have made it without him. The fact that he's been able to stabilize our inventory and our supply planning so quickly has been a lifesaver for us.
Yeah, I need Mike too. He's been a lifesaver for me as well. I love the hell out of that guy. He's one of my very favorite, most dearest, oldest friends. And so I love the hell out of that guy. So let me ask you this once again, just for people who are listening, who are trying to understand it, because this is a new kind of idea. I imagine that many restaurants use a fax machine to do their ordering, you know, to this day. And you're like, yes, please, because here's my app. Doot, 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 boom,
Yeah.
chickens. What is your footprint again where consumers can buy from you guys? Where do you
In
guys
the Bay Area, all
Okay.
over the Bay Area. So Cheetah is servicing both restaurants, small businesses. We have other businesses as well, like senior centers, small grocery stores, nonprofit organizations buying from us, as well as consumers, families, communal houses, individuals buying from Cheetah all over the Bay Area. We're servicing. We have 9 pickup locations where people can basically go through what we call a contact-free drive-through experience. They literally drive to that pickup location, open up their trunk, and we put the order in their car. They don't even need to leave their car. There's 9 of these pickup locations in the East Bay, in the South Bay, in the Peninsula, in the city. As of about a month ago, we started doing direct-to-home delivery.
Wow.
So we're now servicing all over the Bay Area.
Look at you. That is incredible. and
Thank you so much.
the Bay Area, does that include Sacramento and Stockton? Is that part of that footprint?
Hey, this is Pete A. Turner from Lions Rock Productions. We create podcasts around here, and if you, your brand, or your company want to figure out how to do a podcast, just talk to me. I'll give you the advice on the right gear, the best plan, and show you how to take a podcast that makes sense for you, that's sustainable, that's scalable, and fun. Hit me up at pete@breakitdownshow.com. Let me help. I want to hear about it.
The Bay Area, does that include Sacramento and Stockton? Is that part of that footprint?
We don't go to Sacramento and Stockton on the consumer side, but we do go to Sacramento and Stockton on the business side.
So on the consumer side, how far east do you go? Do you go to like Pittsburgh and that kind of thing, or?
Walnut Creek and Danville and San Ramon.
Okay.
But we can always open up additional locations if we can have enough people and enough purchasing kind of power calling us in a location. We will come. One of the things I wanted to share that I'm really excited about is that it's an emergent behavior of the pandemic. Is that when consumers started purchasing on the app, because we have so many wholesale products, very large quantities that one family can't use before it goes bad, people started purchasing in groups. So people started organizing purchasing for their neighbors, for their extended family, for the groups of friends. I literally just got a Cheetah delivery now, and I got a huge case of leeks. I literally distributed it to a bunch of neighbors. That's why I was slightly late to the show. And when I saw this emergent behavior, I realized that there was another thing going on there. They were not just doing it because the products were big. They're also doing it as an excuse to have social interaction because people were at home, isolated. They were fed up. So that's an opportunity for them to keep in touch with their neighbors, to get to know their neighbors. And so I am going to be developing a lot of these group purchasing features in the app where groups can really get together, invite one another, and collaborate on creating shared carts, and then also split payments. And that will enable us to open up additional locations. For example, let's say you live in Sacramento and you're really excited about Cheetah. Well, if you just get 10 or 20 people to purchase together with you, we will send our truck to your location. We will deliver to you. It's just that we need that minimum number of people for our operation to be sensible.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. And between Sacramento and the Bay, there's Benicia, there's Fairfield, there's Vacaville, there's Davis, there's hundreds of thousands of people. It's such a And then you just go a little bit south to where it's Concord, blah 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 blah, all the way out to Tracy. There's a lot of people out there that this really, it's exciting to hear that you can order like that. And like you said, you just break down your order of leeks or cabbage or chickens or whatever it's going to be and just pass them out to your neighbors. Yeah, I can see that being a thing and work within bubbles as much as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to, so you talked earlier about COVID mitigation inside of the business itself for you guys and following the CDC guidelines. And it's impossible. No one knows anything. There's false positives, there's false negatives, there's all these problems. How has that been as we've, learned more about it, but it's like the guidance is kind of flipped back and forth sometimes. How has it been for you guys as a business to deal with, protecting against COVID within the business?
Yeah, that's our biggest priority. And the thing that scares me the most is that we will have a COVID case in the warehouse, because if that happens, when we have to shut down the warehouse for a couple of days to sanitize it and so on. So we're just being very rigorous in how we're checking, people that are coming to the warehouse, as I said, with temperature checks, with documentation. In the warehouse, we unfortunately had to remove all kind of sitting areas to kind of dissuade people from sitting together, and kind of have people basically taking their lunch or breaks in like separate places. People in the warehouse are working in small pods, so they're interacting just with their pods and not with everyone else. So if there is, God forbid, a case of infection, it only impacts potentially a smaller number of people. Of course, mandatory mask is absolutely a must. No one can work in the warehouse or in the office of the warehouse without a mask. Continuous updates of the policies and continuous vigilance based on new guidelines.
If you could change one thing about the marketplace right now with your magic, dial, what would one thing that be that you would love to see?
I want to see the restaurant sales going back to where they were. Simple.
Yeah, super simple, right? Yeah, have them buying lots and lots of chickens or flour or eggs or whatever it is. Have you seen a change, like as people try new, because we all get tired of eating the same thing. Have you seen a change in the marketplace in terms of like people all of a sudden are now ordering, like remember when avocados exploded and everybody who wasn't in California discovered that avocado toast was a thing? Have you seen anything like that?
A new trend that is emerging now. Vegan is a big one. I think vegan is a really big trend. I personally became vegan 2 months ago, and I'm trying it out. And we have seen a bunch of new vegan restaurants coming on board. So all this like vegan paleo diet, non-gluten continues to be very strong. It started on the consumer side and now it's moving on to the restaurant side.
And then what about emerging products that are, they're at the trade shows? Well, now there's no trade shows. So how do you find out about the latest, whatever it is? Like someone in our family circle here he's a Southern California guy who works in shelf stable. He brokers for shelf stable products. And so he's always looking at emerging products. So how do you guys deal with that?
Yeah, we have brokers constantly contacting us. We are in touch with the broker community. We're in touch with vendors. That's the role of our buyers, is to constantly keep themselves informed about what's happening. And I assume that these type of trade shows would probably be virtual for the time being, and then go back to being a combination of virtual and physical when we have a vaccine or we have a ubiquitous medicine.
Let's go back to the charitable side of what you guys are doing and talk about that again, because I know, unfortunately, there's a lot of food waste in our restaurant businesses and that kind of thing. So talk about, again, the refrigeration program. Yeah,
the fridge program. So there are two things. One is we've already been doing food donations from the beginning. We started working on our warehouse about a year ago in September. So every food that is about to expire but still has like a good number of days before it actually expires, let's call it 3-4 days, we donate it to food banks or homeless shelters or nonprofit organizations that take them and immediately use the food to feed people. And what we've done now with those fridges is that we've placed fridges in community centers. One is in a church, another one is in a homeless shelter. And these are fridges that are installed in these places. We're filling those fridges with our foods, perishable and non-perishable foods. And then if you're a person in need, or your family in need, you can literally go to the fridge, open it up and take what you need. And we will continue to replenish them.
Yeah.
It's called community fridges.
Community fridges. Is there a website or anything like that to find out if there's one near somebody?
Yeah, we're actually going to be publishing it on the Go Cheetah website. There will be a link coming up soon. It's not up yet. It should be up probably by early next week. But keep checking us out on gocheetah.com and also on our Instagram and on our Facebook. That's where we're going to make that announcement. So facebook.com/gocheetah, Instagram.com/gocheetah, and then gocheetah.com. We will update our audience and our customers there, and would love to see people supporting it. So families can also go and stock up those fridges too with excess food that they want to donate.
I know this is kind of the backwards way to do it, but I'd love to hear your founder story now. Like now that we've kind of covered all of these big basic things, who the heck are you?
Yeah. Who the heck I am? I am originally from Israel. I grew up in a small village in Israel. My father had a turkey farm. My mom was a teacher. I grew up in this, wonderful community where everyone knew each other. I moved to the US to do my undergrad here. So I started my undergrad at Tel Aviv University and then graduated from Cornell University with a degree in economics and political science and math. And then I worked in a hedge fund in New York for a couple of years, saved some money and came to the Valley and started my first company. I've been an entrepreneur for the majority of my career. Origin story of Cheetah is that there was a startup that I was working on in 2009 that was selling to local merchants, including many restaurants, a system that helped them understand how online marketing was driving offline traffic. So let's say that you're running a restaurant and you're getting a Groupon and a ton of people come to your restaurant to redeem the Groupon. What you really care about is how many of these people become long-term customers. Yes. And we were able to track that. And later on, Groupon acquired our company in 2011. I was able to cash out and wanted to start a new business. And I tried to think what's going to be my next challenge. And one of the things that I learned about while working on that company was the realities of the restaurant industry and how those small independent restaurants were kind of struggling to find honest vendors with transparent pricing, with an efficient way to order where you can click a couple of keywords and see who are the vendors that have it and what prices. Nothing like this exists in the food service industry even today.
Wow. So
I determined that's what I want to do. And my first business was really just a software marketplace, an online SaaS marketplace, where I was able to acquire a bunch of very large wholesale buyers, especially corporate kitchens in the Valley like Dropbox and Airbnb and Palantir that were using me to aggregate all of their vendors into one online purchasing system. And we were scraping and analyzing and normalizing the vendors' inventory data and then providing it in one searchable and usable interface to those buyers to place their orders and then ultimately pay their vendors. Later on, I realized that getting this data from the vendors and especially driving toward price transparency in this industry was very difficult. Every time we're trying to get inventory data and pricing from those distributors that my customers were working with, it was like pulling teeth. And the reason is that these distributors didn't want to have price transparency. They were very happy with all the margins they were able to hide while they were, charging their customers different prices. And it was just a very long and arduous process to kind of bring their information online. And ultimately, I determined I can probably do a better job by being a modern vendor and recreate the model of the supply chain from the ground up. And that's how Cheetah was born. And Cheetah is a full-on logistics company. It's not just an app with an e-commerce functionality. It also has a warehouse where we're sourcing and storing inventory. We have trucks that are delivering the products to our customers, both to restaurants and now to consumers. So we've been able to develop technology that automates every single part of this supply chain. Wow. To create a truly 21st century food service distributor. There is no one else that has done what we're doing. We're very unique in that sense, which is why I said earlier, I truly believe that once we survive this crisis, we will be in an incredibly good position to take market share and become one of the biggest players in the market.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're completely right because, you've got folks driving around in Ford Tauruses going restaurant to restaurant trying to sell things, and you guys are like, it's on your phone right now. You can just push it. Bring me 50 chickens or whatever.
And you have real-time inventory look because everything is integrated. The app is integrated with our back-end systems that are managing the inventory. Wow. You can literally place a reminder to know when an item comes into inventory, and that sends you an email or a push notification so you can immediately go on and order. These kind of things are just non-existent in this marketplace.
Yeah, it sounds like it's truly like, I hate to say this, it's so cliche to say you're disrupting the restaurant, provisioning marketplace, but I mean, that's what you're doing. Yeah. You're taking something that still, I bet there are people in the United States that still use for their restaurant ordering, carbon paper, or some kind
of course. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Traditional restaurants for sure.
And it would seem like at some point, obviously when things are a little more normal, that you could be integrated into that restaurant's buying system. Like as each order is keyed in, you're going to be like, prepare for chickens. We're going to already pre-order these for you.
Exactly. Our vision, we call it inventory or purchasing as a service, whereby we can learn from your purchasing behavior what you might need to order, and we can predict the items and the quantities. And then the next level of that is literally integrating with the point of sale of our customers, because if you know what the customer is selling, then you can reverse engineer those dishes that get sold into ingredients. Then you can literally run a tally of what's coming in and out of inventory, and you can replenish inventory on a just-in-time basis. That's our long-term vision.
Yeah, just in time for the restaurant. That is incredible. And like literally have it showing up throughout the day, like, for a busy place, like, oh, you're going to need lettuce for dinner time. It's already on the way, Yeah, that's incredible. Wow.
Maybe not one product at a time, but at least one group of products at a time, for sure.
You wouldn't be the first company.
One day, when that's going to be possible, when we have fully autonomous vehicles that are costing almost nothing to operate, then yes, they have to be autonomous, they have to be electric. So 10 years from now, that could be the reality for sure. When the cost of transportation goes down, that's going to be a breakthrough in this type of logistics businesses.
I absolutely can see that day coming. And then are you guys looking at any kind of blockchain innovation with what you guys are doing at all? Because it seems like that's an obvious thing too.
Not at this time.
Okay.
No, it's not on the roadmap at this time.
What should I have asked you that I've not asked you about yet? Because I want to give you guys a chance to really kind of tell us. I mean, obviously I'm a big fan, but what did we miss?
I think we spoke about so many things, frankly, and I was able to talk about the fridge project, which is coming out in the next couple of days, and I'm very excited about, where we're supporting both the community with food that is available to those in need, as well as promoting local artists that are decorating their fridges. I'm very hopeful to see traction for this, so we can literally scale it. I want to have 100 fridges all over the Bay Area, so people don't have to worry about getting fed. Like, it doesn't make sense that restaurants and companies like us will throw away food when there's some people that don't have the money to get food and the dignity to get food. So I really care about this project a lot. I spoke about how we're hoping to assist restaurants in this transformation and helping them sell retail products to our consumers now. As well as, the fact that we're now offering both contact-free pickup and delivery to home to consumers. I really think we covered a lot of the things. I really appreciate the opportunity you gave me to talk to you.
Yeah, no, it's great. I just want to make sure I cover everything here. So in terms of straight to the customer, everybody should check it out. If you're in the Bay Area, and the Bay Area is pretty big, and if you think you're on the fringe of the Bay Area, get a few friends together and they'll get food out to you. GoCheetah.com. You can order whatever you need to order. You can order bulk and break it out to your friends. And just wanted everybody, it's just a good way to shop. They'll deliver it. You can go pick it up, whatever it is. And it's COVID friendly because you guys are working to keep things clean on your end. And it's already a big thing, especially if you're at risk and you don't want to go to the grocery store,
it's a great solution for you.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, listen, any questions you want to ask me? It is Friday after all.
What is your plan for the weekend?
My plan for the weekend. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get off this show with you and I'm going to go to the beach. That's already a good start. And just get some, some sun and relax time. Yeah, that's the thing.
Nice. Enjoy.
As an entrepreneur, you'll know what I'm about to say. I'm going to work all weekend long because I have so many projects, so many things to do. I don't have enough time. And if I don't do the work, it won't get done. So I'll be working all weekend long.
Well, enjoy that as well. I hope you enjoy it.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on, Naama. I really appreciate it. And everybody, go check out GoCheetah.com. And heck, if you're in the Bay Area, just give them a try. Give them a shot at your groceries, and I bet you will love it. And Mike, I love you, man. I love you wherever you're at. There you are. Hey, Mike, I love you, man. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mike.